If there's one thing I enjoy about being, part of a fandom of any kind, is how you end up meeting up online or even at a convention with very creative portions of the fan base, basically very creative fans. And sometimes these fans could be creative in numerous ways, whether it's through fan fiction or basically webcomics, and maybe using the fan fiction or webcomics or even animation, whatever kind of animation they use, to, sometimes extend the story or continue a story that got that got interrupted abruptly due to various reasons, whether it's behind the scenes legal reasons or whatever. Fans nowadays will basically take it upon themselves to essentially continue the story. For example, Archie Sonic Online is doing that. Glitcher, even though it's a darker perspective, kind of does that. Game Boy Sage, with a nice little crossover between Archie Sonic and Sly Cooper, is doing that, and so on. Everybody's got their own interpretation, of how they view things on how they could have been had the story continued. Now, the other thing I do like about fans, though, is they like to kind of have a little bit of lighthearted fun. And sometimes that lighthearted fun, comes at the fact that they like to go outside the box, go outside the norm. And one of those things that I've noticed that I've gotten a chuckle out of that they go outside the norm of is a behind-the-scenes route, backstage route, basically taking you into areas you're not supposed to be at unless you're part of a production crew and stuff. And that's kind of what we get nowadays with some of the, written work, some of the hand-drawn, work, computer hand-drawn sometimes work, some of the animation. We get that. We get that little feeling of a blending of reality and fiction. And the reason I bring this up is because two notable ones kind of reminded me of something that I did years ago. You see, years ago, I typed up a little bit of a script that basically was, I guess I tried to make it more like a shoot interview-like script, because I was inspired by a lot of the pro wrestling shoot interviews that, places like Kayfabe, RF Video, and all that would, be able to, I guess, do and then feature here on YouTube or various other places where they're talking with former wrestlers of either WWE, WCW, AEW, you name it, or even talking to legends who, worked in the business 20, 30 years ago, if not recently, to get their own personal perspective on how their career was, how certain people were around them that they worked with, and stuff like that. So I got inspired basically to type up a little bit of a shoot interview-like story where basically I was having Sally being interviewed by the shoot interviewer and basically getting her perspective and stuff on what was going on. And I think I also had Sonic and Bunny included in that as well. Now, I don't know what I did with it. I'm sure it's on the internet somewhere. But the point is, when I saw what was going on recently on DeviantArt, with the likes of, gardboyz-productions and Moon Phantom, it got me thinking back to when I did that, and even kind of inspired me to probably do something like that again down the line. But the reason I bring them up is because they were the first ones, gardboyz-production being the first one actually, that I noticed, was doing this. I was noticing that they were doing this because of the fact that, it's honestly never really been done that much. When you think about it. I mean, sure, there are probably artists, and fan fiction writers that have done that with some of the other fan favorite shows and characters that they love, but never once have I ever seen it done with Sonic. And I love the fact that some of this is done at certain times. Like, for example, gardboyz-production, he ends up doing, I think, 3 or 4 parts, I believe. I'll have to link the little video I made of it so you guys can check it out. But he did about 3 or 4 parts of this backstage series where he basically, I don't know if it was a commission or it was his own idea or something. I think it may have been his own idea because he even noted it at the end of the description on DeviantArt. But, he But basically what he did is he came up with the idea of what would it be like if these comics were done in the same essence as a television show or a movie. Like, what would happen behind the scenes with the characters? Like, how would they react? And honestly, I got to give him his props because he did a tremendous job with this. Not just the first part, which I kind of made its own recently last night in 8K, thanks to online-convert.com, where we see Mega Man, Sonic, and Sally. But he also did it later on with, behind-the-scenes takes, backstage takes on the whole worlds, collide situation, the first Mega Man and Sonic crossover, And honestly, these were genuinely funny. They were. Because you have the characters, just talking, and while they're in costume or getting out of costume or being put in costume, you have the characters talking about, the fact that they have to walk around in these things for who knows how long, or the cramp, or whatever, or the claustrophobics, things like that. So you have these funny situations that make it genuinely funny to you, the viewer, because it's something you wouldn't expect to see. And the first one, like I said, that I kind of did a single thing of last night, had Mega Man, Sonic, and Sally, and the way it's described, and I even put, I guess you could say the script, if you will, the story, if you will, in the description box. The way it went was, here's Mega Man and Sonic. I'm assuming timeline-wise it takes place before Worlds Collide. They're just chilling behind the scenes, backstage. They're probably taking a break from filming or done filming for the day. They're just chilling at the water cooler, having a couple of drinks of water, talking about certain things, and up comes Sally in her Mecha Sally outfit. And the reason I say outfit is because it's treated like basically a costume. Because the way it's described is, as soon as she approaches them, she basically unhinges the valves on the headpiece, the helmet, takes it off, and puts it on the ground, and then says something along the lines of, I can't breathe in that thing. How much longer do I have to wear it? And Sonic's response was, hopefully not much longer, because from what I understand, the guy said, and he's referring to Archie, the guy said, the Mecha Sally arc is almost over. and I found that kind of genuinely, I know I'm using that word a lot here, genuinely funny, because here you have Sally in the role of like a real actress taking off this contraption and basically saying, when am I going to be done with this? I can't stand it anymore. This thing is a nuisance. Basically, in my opinion, echoing through a very humorous way how we all feel about her being put into that situation. And the fact that, if we looked at her as a real life actress, that she herself would get frustrated in having to put that thing on almost every day and act like a beep, beep, beep robot. It just didn't really sit well with a lot of us fans. And to me, gardboyz-productions was echoing our sentiments with this panel, with this first page, if you will. But then we get to Moon Phantom. Now, originally I had this up here on YouTube, but he asked me politely to take it down, and I did. But here we have Moon Phantom, who did a 6-part commission for somebody called the Sonic Girls Testimonies, or Testimonials. Yeah, the Sonic Girls Testimonials. And it's basically behind-the-scenes interviews, shoot interviews style, if you will, with all the girls from, Sonic SatAM, Archie, Sonic. And basically all of them, talking about certain things that had occurred, in the comic. Like one of the first ones they did was Amy Rose, and Amy describes basically, I don't know why they made me do that, why they treated me like this, why they made me look like that, You have to read it for yourself. You'll get a kick out of it. The other thing too, or the next one they talked to, the next character they had in this series of comics, if you will, little one-shots, was Bunny. They had Bunny talk about what happened with her experience. Then they had Fiona. Then they had Nicole. They had Mina. I mean, the list could go on. I think those were the ones they had. Hold on. Yeah, they had Amy, they had Mina, they had, Fiona, they had Nicole, they had Rouge. Yeah, Bunny, Amy, Mina, Nicole, Rouge, Fiona. They had all of them. The person that commissioned him to do this wanted these ladies included. And when I read this, again, I got a chuckle out of it, because it's like, what you're doing is basically, blending, I guess you could say, reality with fiction, and basically getting these girls to, shoot on their experience, and basically, through them, voice what a lot of us fans have always felt about, certain situations they were in. And that's the one, and again, this is one thing I really appreciate. That yes, it's lighthearted, it's funny, but in both cases, Guard-Boy's case and Moon Phantom's case, you basically have people, whether commissioned or on their own accord, putting these things together and using them to voice how we fans felt about certain things. And at the same time, by doing so, give us a little bit of a laugh, give us a little bit of a chuckle, kind of basically, show some, shine some lightness upon, the darkness or the idioticness, if you will, of some of these decisions, that happen in the comic. And overall, that's, again, what I appreciate about being a part of any fan base, is you get these kind of fans that will go out of the way and do it. They will go out of the way and do it. However, I will say this in closing. Moon Phantom, I don't know if you're going to listen. Hopefully you will. If I tag you, hopefully you'll listen. Listen to this. It's a bit of a suggestion. But I would like to see you do one more Sonic Girl testimonial, and you know who I want it with. You know who we all want it with. We want Sally Acorn. If you can make that happen and have her talk about how everybody felt about how she was, cast, before Ian came on board, how she was put into the situation as Mecha Sally, and stuff like that. How people, at Archie described her being shot up like she was Swiss cheese in 225 and stuff like that. And how she was pretty much happy that she got a second chance, even though she had a bit of a makeover, redesign for the reboot. Moon Phantom, if you could do that, I guarantee you people will be commenting, on that work no matter what, and they will appreciate what you did, because you're basically, again, just like you did with these testimonials, commission or not, you are basically using the character to voice how we felt. Because what we're doing here, like I said, is you're basically blending reality with fiction and kind of giving us to a very imaginative means, how these characters actually felt about the situation as well, as if they were, legitimately real, flesh and blood. But that's just my one request, my one suggestion, Moon Phantom, if you're listening. But overall, in closing, guys, I have to say that this is the one thing I've always liked about fandoms, and being part of them, is the creativeness. No matter how, I guess you could say, mature, adult-like, erotic, whatever you want to call it, sometimes they can get with the stories, the webcomics, the animations, and all that. It's the creativity. And if there's one thing that really draws me to creativity, is when they blend reality with fiction, just like with these two behind the scenes, backstage, I guess you could say stories, mini comics, whatever you want to call them. But let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know if you've read gardboyz-productions' little backstage at Archie mini comic. Let me know if you've read Moon Phantom's Sonic Girls testimonials. Let me know down below in the comments, as well as in the live chat during the premiere. I will try to provide links in the description box so you guys can check them out yourself. I'm guaranteeing you will like it. And if anybody is out there that does a comic drama, if anybody is out there that does comic drama dubs, you know, like Adrenaline Dubs, Natalie Guest, a little bit of suggestion, you know, to you guys, a little bit of suggestion, look upon these that I will provide the links for and consider them for little side projects, little fun side projects, you know, with the consent of the artist, mind you, you know, easy for me to say sometimes, but basically with the consent of at least one of them, you know, try to maybe do a comic drama or dub on it, and I guarantee you'll have people tuning into that video or those videos, you know, just to hear out of the people you cast in these roles that would sound almost identical to what the characters would sound like. You know, put them in, you know, do that, and I guarantee you fans will be flocking to your channel to watch them, no questions asked. But overall though, guys, that's all I'm going to say. Let me know what your thoughts are down below. Comment if you like. Live chat during the premiere. Like the video. You will also get an audio podcast of this at BW Roses Discussions Podcast at all your favorite audio podcast locations. Also, check me out at deviantart.com. That's BVW1979. Support me at VENMO at BW Roses for content you can't get here on YouTube. Also, check me out at my Teespring store, which you can click in the upper left-hand corner at the end screen here. Also, support me at Venmo at Brian-Roma-2. Cash App at BW Roses 98. Also support me at patreon.com BW Roses for the $1 or $3 tier. But guys, let me know what your thoughts are overall. Comment if you like. Love to hear from each and every one of you on this. And until next time, I am out. And Moon Phantom, again, I strongly suggest if there's one more testimonial Sonic Girl wise you could do, you got to go with Sally. That's the one I think everybody's looking forward to. But until next time, guys, I will talk to y'all later.